I explored the Olmec mystery in considerable depth.
Can you explain that to people that maybe
in Fingerprints of the Gods? Yes. So it's considered to be the earliest high culture of Central America.
Imagine discovering a civilization so advanced, its secrets were hidden in stone for over 2,000 years. 17 massive Olmec heads, each 50 tons, each holding mysteries that defy history. Archaeologists thought they had answers. AI proved they were wrong. Hidden chambers, impossible patterns, technology we don't understand, it's all there, waiting to be uncovered. What were the Olmec trying to preserve? And could their secrets change everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations? Today, we're diving in to find out. The civilization that came first, more than 3,000 years ago, before the Maya built their pyramids, before the Aztecs ruled their empire, another civilization emerged in southern Mexico, the Olmec. They appeared around 1,500 BCE in the Gulf Coast region, occupying areas now part of Veracruz and Tabasco. They built ceremonial centers, developed writing symbols, and created monumental art that still defies explanation. Among their most iconic remains are 17 colossal heads, stone sculptures carved from basalt, a volcanic rock so hard it can barely be worked even with modern tools. These aren't small sculptures. The tallest stands over 3 meters high. The heaviest weighs more than 50 tons. Each one was carved from a single block of basalt quarried from the Sierra de los Tuxtlas mountain range, over 90 kilometers from the Olmec ceremonial centers. Think about that distance, 90 kilometers, through jungle, across rivers, over terrain that would challenge modern equipment. And the Olmec had no beasts of burden, no wheels, no carts, no metal tools. Yet somehow, they moved these massive stones, then carved them with precision that modern archaeology still cannot fully explain. The heads show distinct facial features, calm expressions, narrow eyes, and what appear to be helmets. Many researchers believe they represent rulers or elites. Others think they served as guardians or religious icons. The truth is, no one knows for certain. The Olmec civilization declined around 400 BCE, and the people themselves disappeared. Later groups, including the Maya and Aztec, built on Olmec ideas, but the knowledge of who these people were and what these heads truly meant vanished with them. For decades, archaeologists studied these heads using traditional methods, visual inspection, surface studies, basic excavation. But the sheer size and weight limited how deeply they could be examined. That changed when researchers decided to use artificial intelligence to scan several heads with unprecedented precision. What they were looking for was simple documentation. What they found was something else entirely. What AI was supposed to find? The decision to scan the Olmec heads came from a practical need. These sculptures are vulnerable to erosion, vandalism, and the slow damage of weathering. Traditional documentation, methods, photographs, plaster casts couldn't capture their full geometry or surface condition, so researchers turned to a combination of structured light scanning, laser surface mapping, and AI-based modeling. The goal was straightforward: create the most accurate digital record possible to aid conservation planning, virtual restoration, and deeper study of tool marks and structural changes over time. Nothing in the original plan involved searching for anomalies. The AI tools were there to enhance precision, not rewrite history. Teams used portable structured light scanners capable of mapping surface features at sub-millimeter resolution. Once collected, the data was passed through a trained AI pipeline, an algorithm taught to distinguish between known carving marks, natural damage, erosion patterns, and environmental effects. The system was designed to automatically flag any areas where the surface deviated from expectations. When the AI performed its analysis, it began generating alerts. One model flagged a repeated line pattern on the side of a head, extremely fine parallel striations visible only in the three-dimensional mesh. They ran across the side of the jaw underneath a decorative element. The markings didn't match any known tool marks from Mesoamerica. They resembled abrasion scoring seen in modern machining, though that comparison remains uncertain. No Olmec tools based on archaeological evidence could have produced such fine control. The marks were too shallow, too consistent, and too protected from natural wear to be accidental. Another scan revealed a shallow recess near the base of one head, circular and cleanly defined. It had never been documented before because it sat underneath the sculpture's buried portion. When the model reconstructed the full object, the shape became clear, a socket-like depression less than 5 centimeters deep. The reason for its presence? Unknown. No similar features have been reported in other Mesoamerican sculptures. In a third scan, the AI detected internal inconsistencies in material density. One head had a small but distinct region inside the crown, where the stone's density dropped below normal basalt levels. The volume was irregular but enclosed. This could be a natural void. Basalt can contain bubbles formed during volcanic cooling, but the shape was more linear than spherical. It resembled a channel or shaft, though the scan wasn't powerful enough to penetrate fully. To check for errors, the team repeated the analysis using different models and software. The same anomalies appeared. They were features of the physical object, missed for decades. As a control, they scanned a head known to be unfinished, the one at La Cobata. It showed expected tool marks, rough edges, and no anomalies. This confirmed the AI wasn't creating false patterns. The system worked as designed. The anomalies were real. The marks that shouldn't exist. The more researchers scanned, the less consistent the data became. It was no longer just a question of external features. Something deeper was emerging, elements that couldn't be explained by standard carving, typical weathering, or known construction methods from that period. One of the clearest examples came from a head at the San Lorenzo site. When the AI enhanced the scan's internal imaging using adjusted light reflection algorithms, it detected a pattern that shouldn't have been possible. Along the inner curve of the neck, a series of symmetrical indentations ran vertically, each one evenly spaced, each with the same arc shape. The AI couldn't match the pattern with any natural fracture sequence or erosion process. The hypothesis was simple. The indentations could represent either an internal reinforcement system or a pre-cut structure that guided the carving. But no known Mesoamerican technique matches this kind of internal shaping, especially not in basalt. This type of stone doesn't lend itself to internal design work. It's too hard. It cracks under stress. Creating features inside the rock without compromising the outer surface would require an understanding of stress distribution well beyond any known tools from that era. Another anomaly came from material composition. A scan using portable X-ray fluorescence revealed irregularities in mineral content on the outer layer of one head. Specifically, traces of hematite and magnetite were found in a polished strip extending across the forehead. These minerals aren't unusual in Mesoamerican pigments, but in this case, they weren't surface applied. The elemental signature was embedded in the top layer of the basalt, suggesting they were introduced during carving, not painted afterward. The distribution formed a band that was slightly raised. It didn't appear decorative. It didn't follow the contours of the headdress or any visible ornamentation. It cut across features. Under AI-enhanced scans, this surface section had fewer microfractures than adjacent areas. The system flagged it as anomalous. What makes this important is its location and consistency. Other heads showed no such feature, only this one, and only in that band. The theory that it was natural variation was ruled out after control samples from the same quarry showed no similar patterns. In a third case, a scan from the back of one head revealed what appeared to be a faint, recessed spiral. The depth of the groove was less than 0.5 millimeter, but it ran continuously for almost 1 meter. The spiral had 5 full turns, expanding outward from a central point near the crown. No Olmec artwork previously studied includes such a pattern. Spirals are present in other Mesoamerican art, often symbolizing water, wind, or time. But their appearance on a head and on a non-visible section is unprecedented. Some researchers believe at least one head was carved in multiple stages using different types of tools. This supports the theory that heads might have been recycled. Some could have started as thrones or monuments, then reworked into heads. This would explain certain inconsistencies in geometry and tool finish, but it doesn't explain why the inner marks or hidden spirals exist. If they were leftovers from previous forms, they should show signs of partial erasure. Instead, they appear intentional, preserved. What ties all these anomalies together is their invisibility to the naked eye. No archaeologist studying these heads by sight could have spotted them. Only when AI-based scanning systems reconstructed their form with sub-millimeter detail did these features appear. The scans reveal a structure and complexity that was not previously documented. The implication is clear. Either the Olmec had more advanced techniques than we've given them credit for, or the heads have a more complicated history than previously assumed. Perhaps both. Beyond monuments, A hidden purpose. The original purpose of the Olmec heads has always been uncertain. Most experts believe they were carved to represent rulers or elites, possibly to mark territory or commemorate political power. This is based on their unique facial features, elaborate headdresses, and placement in central areas of known sites. But the new AI scans, along with the anomalies they revealed, suggest a more complicated role. These heads may have served a second function, one that goes beyond public symbolism. At La Venta, 4 heads were discovered buried in a large ceremonial platform. That kind of treatment doesn't fit with the idea of public display. Instead, it suggests a kind of burial, a sealing or hiding of something once active or sacred. The choice to bury them may have been intentional, not accidental. They weren't discarded, they were put away. Some heads show signs of defacement, facial features flattened or chipped away deliberately. One theory is that these heads were damaged during political change. When a ruler fell from power, his image was defaced. But another possibility is that the heads were part of a cycle, created, displayed, buried, and perhaps even reused. If this is true, they weren't just statues. They were ritual tools involved in events repeated over generations. AI analysis also revealed symmetry patterns that suggest mathematical planning. One head showed perfect alignment between the eyes, nose, and mouth, down to sub-millimeter scale. This level of precision is rare in freehand carving. It implies some kind of layout system. A few researchers believe this could point to modular carving methods or templates used to guide sculptors. That means the heads weren't just art, they were measured, calculated, and executed with architectural care. That pattern is also reflected in the head's orientation. At least 5 of them face in cardinal directions: north, south, east, or west. This is common in Mesoamerican sacred planning. Temples, ball courts, and plazas were often aligned with solar or astronomical markers. If the heads were part of a larger spatial design, they may have served a cosmological role not just to show who ruled, but to connect earthly and celestial order. One of the most unusual findings was the detection of recessed symbols on the back of a head at Tres Zapotes. The symbol was only a few centimeters wide, barely visible even under raking light. It looked like a cross inside a circle not found in other Olmec iconography. No one knows its meaning. Some suggest it could be a directional marker. Others think it may have been part of a system used to align the head with other objects in space. Either way, it doesn't seem decorative. It was placed in a hidden location, not meant to be seen casually. There's also growing interest in the idea that the heads were part of a memory system. In some early societies, monuments were used to store information. Position, scale, shape, and order could carry encoded meaning. If the heads were laid out across ceremonial grounds according to specific geometry, they could have served as a kind of spatial archive, a living knowledge system, not static memorials. The theory gains weight when comparing the heads to other Olmec structures. Several platforms and mounds at San Lorenzo and La Venta follow proportional patterns. Some are aligned with river paths. Others mirror solar angles at key points in the year. The heads fit into these alignments even when buried. That suggests the planning behind their placement wasn't random. Another point supporting multiple functions is the evidence of head recycling. At least 3 heads show signs of being recarved from older monuments. Tool marks that cross at odd angles, surface polishing that overlaps earlier edges, and unfinished facial contours all point to reuse. One head has what appears to be a throne seat carved into the back, now barely visible due to erosion. This feature wouldn't exist if the block had been shaped only once. If the heads were recycled, they weren't sacred in a permanent way. They could be transformed, reshaped, repurposed. That flexibility suggests they served a role that changed with time, tied to social cycles, power shifts, or ceremonial needs. Whether ceremonial, astronomical, mnemonic, or architectural, the heads don't stand alone. They're connected to the land, to the stars, and to each other. They may not have been built to be seen. They may have been built to hold something, and now we're finally beginning to understand what. The data that can't be unseen. The purpose of technology isn't just to observe, it's to reveal. In the case of the Olmec heads, artificial intelligence didn't find an answer. It found something else, a pattern of mismatched details, inconsistencies, and hidden structures that suggest a deeper truth, one that has remained buried not only in the soil but in the assumptions behind centuries of study. From the beginning, these sculptures defied expectations. Their weight, their scale, and the skill used to create them placed them far beyond what most would assume of a culture with no metal tools, no wheels, and no written records. But archaeology accepted the mystery as a sign of creative ingenuity. The heads were seen as bold examples of early art, powerful, yes, but simple in meaning. The new scans have changed that. What the data shows isn't a single anomaly, it's a series of them. In nearly every head scanned, some detail didn't match the expected profile. It might be a thin groove buried in the stone. It might be a void inside the structure. It might be a line of mineral concentration that didn't belong. Each anomaly on its own isn't enough to rewrite history. But taken together, they form a message. The current model is incomplete. The most surprising discovery wasn't on the surface. It was within. AI models trained to simulate internal density based on laser reflection and surface geometry revealed inconsistencies in two heads. One had a hollow segment close to the center, long and narrow like a hidden shaft. The other had layers of material that didn't match known basalt patterns. In both cases, traditional explanations failed. These weren't random air pockets. They were too symmetrical, too isolated. One scan showed a clean break, a flat internal surface aligned with the external base. This isn't how natural voids form. It looks cut, controlled, measured. When the results were published in a peer-reviewed archaeology journal, the academic response was cautious. The authors didn't claim anything supernatural. They didn't suggest lost civilizations or advanced machines. They reported the data. They described the process. And they admitted the limits of their interpretations. What followed was a wave of curiosity. More teams began requesting access to the AI models. Funding applications were submitted for further scans, and slowly, more anomalies began to emerge. One team discovered what appears to be an etched line under the jawline of a San Lorenzo head. Another found a polished depression hidden beneath the chin of a La Venta sculpture. None of these details were visible to the naked eye. None had been noted before. Even more troubling were the tool mark analyses. In at least one head, the AI flagged patterns that matched no known carving technique. The surface bore signs of grinding, not pecking, not chiseling. Grinding requires abrasion tools and fine pressure control. The Olmec used abrasives on jade, but to do the same on basalt at such scale would require a supply of tools and materials not currently found at any site. The AI also detected symmetry too precise to be explained by hand carving alone. One head's facial axis deviated less than 2 millimeters across the full width from ear to ear. For context, this is closer to architectural tolerance than typical sculpture. It's unlikely the human eye alone could maintain this consistency. The spiral detected on one head's recessed back remains unexplained. Its curves followed a mathematical arc, not random, not decorative, but a deliberate pattern hidden on a surface not meant to be seen. Together, these details suggest the heads were more than visual. They may have encoded something not writing in the modern sense, but form-based data. The way lines and shapes carry meaning in architecture, in ritual layout, in spatial memory systems. In many early cultures, knowledge wasn't written. It was built in the shape of roads, in the placement of stones, in the silent language of geometry. This raises the possibility that the heads are part of a larger system, a system we've only begun to map. Their orientation, their internal structure, their unseen features all point to layers of design, layers not required for public viewing, but for function. What that function was remains unclear. It could be ceremonial, it could be symbolic, it could be practical, but it wasn't random. Outro. 17 colossal heads, 2,000 years of silence. And now, under light, lenses, and AI, their secrets are emerging hidden voids, precise patterns, and geometry that defies our expectations. The Olmec didn't just carve monuments, they encoded knowledge, planning for a future only we could unlock. Each discovery raises more questions than answers, revealing a civilization far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. The mystery isn't ending, it's just beginning. The stones are speaking. Are we ready to listen?